Tappei has just released Arc 7 Chapter 50, and this video will be a summary of the chapter. I highly recommend you check out my Arc 7 Chapter 49 summary. Anyways, let's begin. After parting ways with Oobleck, they stopped a couple of streets over. Subaru checked to see if they were being followed by Oobleck. It seemed that the answer to Olbart's riddle is inside of Subaru. Oobleck gave advice to Subaru. Whilst Oobleck may have seemed like an imposter, it was obvious his advice was clear and true. Oobleck's word was that the answer was inside of Subaru. That doesn't literally mean that Olbart is hiding inside of Subaru's body. However, it was obvious that it was a riddle. Similar to how the first riddle, which was behind the eyelids, related to Olbart being in the inn that they were staying at. An abyss with a good view is similar, it's also a riddle. Subaru initially thought it was a place he's been to, but it isn't. There aren't many places Subaru has actually been to in the city of Chaos Flame. Namely, the only two places he's visited is the inn and of course Yorna's castle. When we think about the words abyss with a good view, it feels counterproductive. A good view insinuates that it's high up. However, the word abyss implies that it's down below. In other words, one of those words is a lie. So the best thing to do is to look for something which has a good view, but seems like an abyss. Subaru thinks that Olbart is similar to himself in the sense that Olbart most likely hasn't explored the city of Chaos Flame, considering he's protecting the false emperor. With that said, Subaru makes his mind up. He tells Lewis they need to go somewhere closer to the sky. Oobleck's advice led him to the answer, an abyss with a good view. Another way of saying it was a hole with a view. An abyss isn't just a hole, it's a deep hole in which you could fall forever and forever. And Oobleck was right that Subaru felt it before. Namely, when the sheep boy threw Subaru into the air, Subaru felt like he was falling into the sky. Of course, to an observer, it was obvious that Subaru was thrown into the air, but to Subaru, when he was thrown, he didn't know which way was up or down, so it did feel like he was falling into the sky. In other words, the tallest point in Chaos Flame, the place closest to the sky, was in fact the castle in which Yorna was staying at. So the question would be, how would Subaru and Lewis get inside the castle to get to the roof to hopefully find Olbart? Subaru can't pretend to be Natsumi Schwartz, considering he's a kid, and he can't explain himself to Yorna since Tanza seems to be the person behind harming Subaru and others. Perhaps they could tell Yorna about Tanza's misdeeds, however Yorna might just side with Tanza. Either way, Subaru asks Lewis if she can warp to the top of the castle. It felt horrible when Subaru experienced it before, but if Lewis could keep warping to the top of the castle, it would be possible. Lewis seems to understand and agrees. However, she seems frustrated that Subaru didn't believe that she could do it, so she instantly warped Subaru and herself to a nearby alley. Subaru gets the point and then Lewis starts warping around 5 times. However, Subaru starts puking from the sensations. Subaru and Lewis was at the gate near the entrance to the castle. There was a lizard man with blue scales defending the gate. However, they were slacking off. Subaru pointed at the wall of the Red Ruri castle, and Subaru tried to indicate to Lewis to warp behind the wall past the gate, so inside the courtyard. And Lewis warped them behind the wall inside the courtyard. Subaru almost feels really bad. It would be impossible to stop Lewis from warping across the wall. The only way to prevent it would be to have something like security cameras, which didn't exist in this world. Either way, Subaru makes it clear that they cannot be seen. If they were found outside of the castle grounds, an excuse can be made. However, now they were in too deep. Furthermore, Lewis can only warp around 2 times before Subaru starts getting sick, so 3 warps is a no-go for Subaru as he might pass out. then if someone found Subaru when he was passed out, nobody would be able to stop Lewis's rampage. Either way, Subaru again reconfirms that he won't let Lewis kill anyone. The childlike Subaru couldn't come to a conclusion about Lewis, so currently he'll come up with the best possible solution, which is to not let her kill anyone. They need to aim for the top of the tower, but it would be hard to climb and rest at the same time. Subaru thinks he might fall during the process if they try and scale the outside of the castle. Furthermore, if they were found, Lewis could beat up the random guards, powered up by the soul marriage technique. However, what about Yorna? She was a 9 divine general. However, fighting her would be the opposite to the goal that they wanted to achieve, which was actually recruiting her. Either way, Subaru was inside the castle before. He knew that there wasn't much security. With that, they proceed inside of the castle. Lewis warps into the castle. Subaru looks around and ensures no one is there. He also needs to keep in mind that the floors are wooden and can make sounds. If Yorna is always here, that means that Yorna is at the top of the castle, meaning to get to Olbart on the roof, they would have to pass Yorna. Subaru feels weird since some people can just sense other people in this world. So something like stealth will be futile to some people. With that, Subaru states they will need to be careful and to make sure no one finds them. However, a voice behind him asks a question. What happens if they're found? Subaru turns around and Yorna is standing there. She then comments that 2 cute children have appeared. Subaru was confused. She just randomly appeared from nowhere. Subaru does actually disdain this. He was cautious, but people like Yorna, who have incredible power, can just bypass all of Subaru's precautions. Yorna asks why they're in the castle and tells them to not be frightened. Subaru stammered and Yorna mentioned Tanza, and Subaru agreed, only for Yorna to comment that's why the Lord and the others came to the castle. In one moment, Yorna seemed to understand who Subaru was, his true identity. It was almost like his whole purpose here was for nothing. Yorna asked if Tanza was the reason that Subaru was in the castle. That was only a half-truth. So Subaru asked Yorna a question. Where's Tanza? Yorna put her pipe in her mouth and blew out smoke. Yorna stated that Tanza is out on an errand and will be back. However, with that, Subaru won a bet. It seemed that Yorna actually didn't know who Subaru was. With that, Yorna told Subaru to go wait in Tanza's room for her to return. So it's obvious Yorna has no clue who Subaru is. Yorna tells Subaru to follow her. Yorna states that this is the first time Tanza's friends have come to the castle. Subaru assumed it was a trap, but that would make no sense. She could easily kill Subaru with one finger and kill Lewis with a few fingers, so there would be no need to trap them. Lewis follows Yorna and tugs Subaru's hand. Subaru rationalizes that Lewis's danger radar must be a lot better than Subaru's, so if she was fine with following Yorna, then it was fine to follow her. Subaru and Yorna talk about how scary adults can be, and Subaru noticed that Yorna is really kind. Yorna can tell that Subaru is not a demi-human and asks if Subaru has any thoughts about the city. Subaru states that it contains many people from different walks of life and is amazing. Yorna is happy with that answer, and she states that the people who live here may have difficulty living elsewhere. Outside of Chaos Flame, their voice isn't heard, so in the Sea of Chaos Flame, Yorna is able to listen to all of their voices. Subaru's perspective of Yorna has changed during this conversation. Either way, Yorna explains how she's in a good mood. Something that she wanted may finally come to her, and she's been waiting for it for a long time. The reason for this, of course, was most likely Abel's letter. Subaru knows that Yorna cares for Tanza, but Yorna has rebelled against Vincent before for another person's sake. So would Yorna choose to side with Subaru over Tanza if he told her the truth? Yorna noticed that Subaru's brow was creased, and Subaru says he wants to ask her something. The scene changes. An old man was sipping wine from his gourd as he appreciated the view. He likes the chaos, the scaffolding, the mishmash of streets down below. However, he turned and didn't expect to see the three people standing there, only for the boy to respond. "Olbart, I found you." Behind the small boy and small girl who were holding hands, there was the Empress of the magical city of Kearsflame, standing over the two children like their guardian. And with that, the chapter ends. Well, we found Olbart for the second time. Yorna has no clue who Subaru is. I feel like the next chapter is going to be Tanza reappearing, and there's going to be maybe a Subaru-Tanza confrontation. But yeah, I didn't expect it to go that way. It seems like Yorna just randomly appeared, which is kind of expected because she's supposed to be powerful, and powerful people sort of go beyond the conventions of like the common man. So pretty interesting to see Yorna just randomly appear. But honestly, I don't really know what's going to happen now, apart from Tanza most likely showing up next chapter. Nothing really happened, if I'm going to be honest, but let's see what happens next time. Thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you guys next time.